Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with Volume 23 of Hyperion's Romantic Piano Concerto series in the big box edition of the first 50 volumes. And, this one is fun, but not maybe the most distinguished musically. It consists of two concertos, one by Joseph Holbrooke and the other by Haydn Wood. Now, Holbrooke and Wood were almost exact contemporaries. Holbrooke lived from 1878 to 1958, and Haydn Wood from 1882 to 1959. And they wrote their concerti right around the same time, in the first decade of the 20th century, although Holbrooke's was revised quite a bit later in the 1920s. But they are very different otherwise. They really are. Holbrooke's concerto has a subtitle, The Song of Gryn ap Nudd, which I understand is not pronounced Nudd if you're Welsh. It's pronounced something like Nuth or something like that, but I really couldn't care less. So as far as I'm concerned, it's Nudd, and if they want to do it somewhere else, spell it phonetically. Anyway, so this is already his Opus 52, and most of his concertos were based on literary subjects and were programmatic, not concertos, orchestral works, symphonic poems, whatever he did. And, he wasn't all that great a composer, but he was colorful, and he was fun, and he was sort of romantic nationalist. And this particular concerto really began life as a symphonic poem. He only changed it to concerto when he revised it. It was originally called The Song of Gryn ap Nudd, whatever it is. And this actually, although it's basically a three-movement concerto, it breaks itself down into 22 tracks, with literary superscripts explaining exactly what is going on throughout the concerto. Now, obviously, when you do something like that, there is likely to be some sort of dissonant relationship, shall we say, between the program and the dictates of traditional concerto form. And so it happens here. For example, the last three tracks are For Scorn Follows Fast on the Fairy King's Fate. Then Cadenza. And then She Was the Most Splendid Maiden. That's the end. Well, what is cadenza doing there? Cadenza is a purely formal thing, and it happens after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different tracks of other stuff, programmatic stuff. Then all of a sudden you have a cadenza. It's a very good cadenza. It's an enjoyable cadenza. But the fact remains, if you're following a story, you don't much need a cadenza. And if you have a cadenza, then maybe you have a higher obligation to organize your material accordingly. None of this bothered Holbrooke, and it probably shouldn't bother us. I do not recall, I can look at the notes and, what the story was here. And some of you may know it if you're fans of, Celtic Twilight Welsh type literature stuff. But basically you've got gnomes and fairies and people like that doing things, running around, enthusiastically. And it's fun. It's fun music. I wouldn't take it all that seriously, but Hamish Milne is the pianist. He's very fine. He plays it spectacularly. The BBC Scottish Symphony Orchestra under Martyn Brabbins conducts it. Everyone has a good, clean time. It's good fun. It really is. It may all be nonsense, but it's good fun. Now, Haydn Wood. Haydn Wood is best known as a composer of light music. He shows up on some of those, British light music compilations. But he wrote this rather serious concerto. It begins with one of those heavy-duty allegros. It lasts 15 minutes in this performance in moderate tempo. But it's an exciting piece of writing for the piano. The central slow movement is much, much, much shorter. It's 15 minutes, and then basically 6 minutes, and then 12 minutes for for this concerto, and that 6-minute long slow movement is lovely. It's quite lovely, and the finale is, it gets the job done. It does what it's supposed to do. It's a concerto, obviously, in the vein of the great sort of Russian Romantic concertos, or maybe beginning even as far back as Chopin. But there's a, romantic joie de vivre about it, which I find quite appealing. Like I said, these pieces are not going to win any awards. They're probably not revivable in a particularly meaningful way. I mean, you can't say that they've been unfairly neglected, and they would make fabulous regular additions to the repertoire. They would remain novelties. But so what? That's why we have the box. So again, it's Hamish, Milne, Martyn, Brabbins, the usual culprits, playing extremely well. They sound terrific, and the music is fun. Just good, clean fun. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.